Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, and as I sit here pondering upon my years of life on this planet, because I recently turned 33, I've decided that there are a couple of things that if I could talk to someone in their 20s, these are a couple of things that I would give them as advice. So one of the first things I wish I knew back in my 20s is I wish I traveled more. Now, I understand that there's school and then there's money issues, and I mean, there's always money issues, as they're not, or it's life. But I feel like when you're in your early 20s specifically, especially after you finish college or if you take a gap year between high school and college, those are like the perfect opportunities to travel and see the world, because that is the time when you don't really have any responsibilities. Yeah, you're broke, but honestly, I wish I could go back and take out a loan and just go into a little bit of debt and having seen the world. Like, I truly feel like that is one of my biggest regrets. Just take the time to travel. I didn't grow up traveling. We are a family of immigrants. We were always poor, and it's a struggle. So I never got to go on family vacations. We never got to go see literally anything, really. We had a couple road trips here and there, but that was pretty much it. I'm talking about travel, like seeing other cultures, seeing other countries, seeing how people live. Immerse yourself into these experiences. That is something I really, really, really want to do with my life, even now in my 30s. So I definitely recommend trying to travel as much as you can when you're in your 20s and you don't have those responsibilities of paying bills or having kids or getting married or work or whatever have you. Taking care of parents, there's just a lot more that happens as you get older. The second thing I would tell people in their early 20s is to please go to therapy. Please, please, please go to therapy. I wish I went to therapy earlier. I had been in therapy for 5 years in my late 20s, early 30s, and honestly, I wish I went sooner. I feel like my development and the way I approach things, the way I talk to people, the way people talk to me, or the way I allowed people to talk to me would have been vastly different, and things that would have been handled vastly different if I went to therapy first. And therapy isn't something that you kind of do for like 1 or 2 sessions. It is a continuous process, because I feel like we're always changing, we're always evolving, there's always issues that we can talk about, there's always underlying things that we can discuss. And if I went to therapy earlier, I feel like I could have handled situations better, and I wouldn't have let so many people walk all over me in my early 20s. The third thing is kind of ties into therapy, but it's learning to say no. I feel like even in our 30s and 40s, just as human beings, a lot of the times we have a hard time saying no. And I don't know if it's because we're people pleasers or we have some sort of trauma from our childhood. Again, therapy. But I can definitely relate to it being hard to say no. If somebody asks me for something, I inconvenience myself all the time in order to show up for my family, friends, loved ones. I do it all the time. And when you do it all the time, sometimes you forget to take care of yourself and you forget to take care of your needs, and then you become burnt out or feel like you're behind or you get stressed out when you could have just said no to going out and doing your laundry or picking up around the house or rearranging your clothes or whatever it is that's on your to-do list. So I definitely recommend learning to say no and rescheduling if you have to, or if you're not feeling good, don't feel guilty for taking care of yourself and for staying in bed and taking care of your health or your mental health. Just learn to say no. And I know it's easier said than done. Trust me, I still have a hard time saying no a lot of the times, but it's gotten easier with therapy because I've learned where I can set my boundaries and what the boundaries are for me. And honestly, it changes. Just because you set a certain boundary with one person for something, it doesn't mean they can't shift. I think we get so stuck in the idea of like, oh, well, I told this person it's like this and that's what I have to stick to. No, you don't. We change, people change, situations change, things change all the time. So I think it's totally okay with setting boundaries and then moving them and letting other people know what those boundaries are and if they have shifted. Number 4 of things I wish I knew in my early 20s, and it is to take more chances. I just feel like I wasn't a big yes man kind of person, in the sense of meeting new people, trying new things. Even though I love experiences and traveling and going places and all that stuff, even though I do love all that, for some reason it was really hard for me to do that in my 20s. I think it's because I'm definitely more of an introverted person. So I get really shy and I don't like to be the person that makes the first move. I like if someone approaches me and starts a conversation, oh my gosh, I'm here for it. But me actually going and talking to somebody, forget about it. I can't. It's so hard for me. It literally makes me quiver. Like I shake. I get so anxious. But because of things like that, I feel like I didn't really take as many opportunities as I could have. I didn't take classes that I could have taken just because I was scared to try something new. I didn't talk to people because I was scared of approaching them. You know, or I felt like something was inconvenient. I made up excuses in my mind of why I wouldn't go to a certain event. I'm just like, oh, well, it's late and I have to work early tomorrow. Like, whatever. I would make up excuses. So I just think if you take those opportunities, you broaden your mind and your experiences and everything. Like, it opens up a bigger world for you. And I'm trying to do that now in my early 30s, but I feel like it's more difficult. I feel like there's just a lot more options when you're younger, and it could just be me and my experience, but yeah, I find it a lot more difficult in my early 30s to even get these opportunities. So I have to now physically like go out and seek them myself rather than them kind of falling in my lap as they did in my early 20s. And the fifth thing of things I wish I knew in my 20s is I feel like almost one of the most important things, that is to not let other people influence me. And I think this is something that we all kind of struggle at various stages of our lives and various ages as well. However, I feel like we're more vulnerable in our early 20s, mid 20s, late whatever. I just feel like in that stage I was way more vulnerable than I was even when I was younger than that. I'm not really sure why. I feel like I kind of lost my sense of self, especially after I graduated college, because all I'd known is school, right? And now here I am in the real world, and a year after college I moved to a new city, and you know, I just felt like I didn't know where I belonged. And when you don't know where you belong and you don't know who you are and your surroundings change, your circumstances change, and there's just a lot of this, you kind of lose a sense of self. And when you lose that sense of self, you allow people to tell you who you are, and you allow people to tell you how to act, and you allow people to tell you what you should do, instead of what you deep down probably know what you should or shouldn't be doing, or should and shouldn't be saying. So I would definitely recommend to someone who is struggling to really take the time to understand who they are, to understand where your morals are at, to see what you like, what you don't like. Is it things that you're influenced to like? Like, has that already kind of penetrated your brain? Or do you truly enjoy certain things or not? And I think that comes from learning about yourself, from spending time alone, from doing certain activities and seeing how you react to them. It's definitely a learning curve, and it's not going to happen overnight, I guarantee you. And I do think this also kind of ties into therapy as well. I think going to therapy will help you kind of discover who you are and things like that. So I definitely had my fair share of mistakes that I've made and acted a certain way and did certain things in my early to mid 20s that I'm not proud of. And you know, I think it's because I was letting people influence me, steamroll me, whatever that saying is. When I react to certain situations, like, I immediately felt guilty. I immediately regretted it. And that's how I knew that that's not who I am as a person, that these actions and the words that I chose to use were words that were reflected from this other person and not coming from me. So those are some of the things that I wish I knew in my 20s, and I think they're definitely applicable to not just your 20s. These are just kind of things that I kind of wish that I did earlier and that I did do in my 20s. But you know what, it is never too late to start. It is never too late to change your life and to better yourself and to have the life that you deserve. And I hope some of these resonate with you. Please let me know down below in the comments if there's anything else that you'd like to add. I would love to hear stories from your experiences. I would love to hear any other additional things that you'd like to add. I would be happy to read them all. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!